Keirin racing wheels is a form of motor-paced cycle racing in which track cyclists sprint for victory following a speed-controlled start behind a motorized to non-motorized pacer. It was developed in Japan around 1948 for gambling purposes and became an official event at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney, Australia. Races are about 2 kilometres long, 8 laps on a 250 metres track, 6 laps on a 333 metres track, 5 laps on a 400 metres track. Lots are drawn to determine starting positions for the sprint riders behind the pacer, which is usually a motorcycle, but can be a derny, electric bicycle or tandem bicycle. Riders must remain behind the pacer for a predetermined number of laps. Initially it makes circuits at about 25 km per hour, gradually increasing to about 50 km per hour. The pacer usually leaves the track approximately 600 to 700 meters before the end. The winner's finishing speed is around 70 km per hour. Competition Keirin races are often conducted over several rounds with one final. Sometimes eliminated cyclists get the opportunity to try again in the repechage. World Championships. Keirin has been a UCI Men's World Championship event since 1980 and a UCI Women's World Championship event since 2002. Danny Clark of Australia and Li Na of China were the first UCI World Champions. The 2013 Men's and Women's World Champions are Jason Kenny and Becky James of the United Kingdom. Olympics. Keirin made its debut at the 2000 Summer Olympics in Sydney as a men's event, after being admitted into the Olympics in December 1996. The women's event was added for the 2012 Summer Olympics in London. A BBC News investigation, reported in July 2008, found evidence that following admission into the Olympics, the Union Cycliste Internationale required the Japan Keirin Association to support UCI projects in material terms. Over a period of time, the association subsequently gave $3 million to UCI in consideration of the excellent relationship the UCI has with representatives of the Olympic movement. 4 members of the governing body were later arrested in Tokyo. Keirin in Japan. Professional cycling began as a betting sport in Japan in 1948, and has since become very popular there. In 1957, the Nippon Jitensha Shinkokai was founded to establish a uniform system of standards for the sport in Japan. Today Keirin racing is regulated by the JKA Foundation. In 2011, the sum of bets placed on Keirin races exceeded 600 billion yen, and the number of attendees in the races was approximately 4.9 million people. Aspiring professional Keirin riders in Japan compete for entrance into the Japan Keirin School. The 10% of applicants who are accepted then undergo a strict 15 hours per day training regimen. Those who pass the graduation exams and are approved by the NJS become eligible for professional Keirin races in Japan. Japanese races for women were reintroduced in July 2012 under the title of Girls Keirin. Women were previously permitted to participate from 1949 until 1964. Like the men, the women must also undergo a strict training regimen at the Keirin school. Champions from Japan. Koichi Nakano was one of the first Japanese Keirin athletes to compete outside of his native country. Nakano holds the best matched sprint record as a track cyclist at the UCI Track World Championships with a record of 10 consecutive professional Sprint World Track Cycling Championship wins from 1977 to 86 against mostly Western European pro-track cyclists, although he never won the Keirin World Championship. At the time, many leading sprint riders were from the Eastern Bloc countries and competed in separate, amateur events. Katsuaki Matsumoto is the all-time professional Keirin athlete with the most wins, 1341 over his career. The current Keirin Grand Prix champion is Kota Asai. Typical race. Keirin races in Japan begin with the cyclists parading to the starting blocks, bowing as they enter the track and again as they position the bikes for the start of the race. Every participant is assigned a number and a color for identification and betting purposes. At the sound of the gun, the cyclists leave the starting blocks and attempt to gain position behind the pacer, a Keirin bicyclist wearing purple with orange stripes. As the pace quickens, the pacer will usually depart the track with between 1 and 2 laps remaining, but the actual location where the pacer leaves varies with every race. With 1.5 laps remaining, officials begin sounding a bell or gong, increasing in frequency until the bicyclists come around to begin the final lap of the race. The race is monitored by 4 referees, each located in a tower next to one of the 4 turns. After every race, each referee will wave either a white or red flag. A white flag indicates that no infractions occurred in that area. A red flag, however, signals a possible infraction and launches an inquiry into the race. Judges then examine video of the race and then decide if a participant committed a rules violation. If so, the rider is disqualified and retires from the remainder of the meet. Keirin ovals are divided into specific areas, the 2 straightaways, the 4 turns, and 2 locations called the center, referring to the area between corners 1 and 2 and corners 3 and 4. Ranks. There are a total of 6 ranks that competitors can obtain in Japanese Keirin racing. SS is the highest rank, followed by S1, S2, A1, A2 and A3. All new Keirin graduates begin their careers with an A3 rank and work their way up by competing in Keirin events. The color of the shorts worn by each Keirin competitor indicates rank. Those in A-class wear black shorts with a green stripe and white stars. S-class competitors wear a red stripe instead of a green stripe. Those in the Elite SS class wear red shorts with a black stripe, white stars and special insignia. Introduced in 2007, the SS ranking is assigned by the NJS every December to the top 9 Keirin athletes. These 9 compete in that year's Keirin Grand Prix and retain the rank until the following December. Distances. The distance of each race depends on gender and rank. For men, distances for those ranked A3 are at 1,600 meters, while all others compete at 2,000 meters. The finals of some of the top-graded events are run at a longer distance of 2,400 meters. The season-ending Keirin Grand Prix is held at 2,800 meters. All events for women are currently run at 1,600 meters. There are usually small variances in distance based on the size of the track. Race grades. A race meeting at any given Keirin velodrome in Japan is assigned a grade. The highest graded events are GP, GI, and GII, reserved only for S-class riders. Underneath those are 5 events, which are open to both S-class and A-class riders. The lowest graded events, FIN, are reserved for A-class riders. The GP grade designation is reserved for the Keirin Grand Prix, a 3-day meet held at the end of December for the year's top Keirin competitors. The meet ultimately concludes with the Grand Prix race itself, which determines the annual Keirin racing champion. As of December 2008, the 9 competitors for the Keirin Grand Prix race are determined in the following order of priority. Winners of each of 6 events during the year. Japanese medal winners of cycling events from the Summer Olympic Games, if they're held in the same year. Competitors recommended by Keirin Selection Committee. Competitors that have earned the most money from finishing first, second or third in Keirin events during the year. And finally, competitors with the highest average race score during the year. Also part of the Grand Prix meet is the Young Grand Prix, which is open to the best of those that have begun competing in Keirin within the last 3 years. It is the only Keirin race of the year in which both S-Class and A-Class compete in the same race. A new addition to the meet in 2012 was the Girls Grand Prix for the sport-stop female competitors. Another prestigious event on the annual Keirin racing calendar is the GI Japan Championship, held every March over a period of 6 days. It is the longest single race meeting of the year. Each of the Keirin velodromes are generally permitted to host one event per year of either GII or GIII designation. The remaining events at each track consist of a combination of FII and FII races for a total of approximately 70 race days per year. On average, there is one GII event every month and one GIII meeting per week on the annual calendar. Top events for 2015 race schedule. Keirin velodromes follow the same basic schedule of races when conducting a race meeting. On the first day of competition, the better Keirin competitors are assigned to races of higher caliber, while others are assigned to low-caliber races. Keirin races are guaranteed to compete on each day of the meeting unless they are disqualified from a race or retire from the meet for any reason, in which case alternate competitors are called up to fill in the lower caliber races. Below is a schedule of races conducted during a typical 3-day FII event. Day 1 races 1 to 5, a class preliminary. First 4 or 5 finishes in each race advance to Day 2 semi-finals. Race 6, a class special. All riders compete in Day 2 semi-finals. After 6 races, S-Class riders compete. Races 7 to 10, S-Class preliminary. First 3 or 4 finishes in each race advance to Day 2 semi-finals. Race 11, S-Class special. All riders compete in Day 2 semi-finals. Day 2 races 1 to 2, a class general. First 2 finishes in each race advance to Day 3 special. Race 3, a class selection. First 5 finishes advance to Day 3 special. Races 4 to 6, a class semi-finals. First 3 finishes in each race advance to Day 3 final. S-Class riders then compete to advance. Races 7 to 8, S-Class General. First 1 or 2 finishes in each race advance to Day 3 Special. Races 9 to 11, S-Class Semi-Finals. First 3 finishes in each race advance to Day 3 Final. Day 3 races 1 to 2, a class general. Races 3 to 5, a class special. Races 6 to 7, S-Class General. Race 8, S-Class Special. Race 9, a class final. Race 10, S-Class Special. Race 11, S-Class Final. Equipment. As a result of the pari-mutuel gambling that surrounds Keirin racing in Japan, a strict system of standards was developed for bicycles and repair tools. The Nippon Jitensha Shinkokai, now under the JKA Foundation, requires that all Keirin races in Japan ride and use equipment that meets their standards. All riders use very similar bicycles, so that no rider will have any advantage or disadvantage based on equipment. In addition, all riders must pass strict licensing requirements. Those who wish to race in Japan must attend the Japan Bicycle Racing School, where they learn the necessary rules, etiquette, and skills. The school typically accepts only 10% of applicants. Those who pass final examination must still be approved by the Japan Keirin Association. All bicycles and equipment must be built within strict guidelines set by the NJS by a certified builder using NJS-approved materials. The products are then stamped by NJS and only equipment bearing this stamp may be used. Exceptions to this are a very limited set of equipment including carbon wheels, tires, stems and saddles used in girls' Keirin, which can be used without NJS certification. The NJS standard is to ensure that no rider will have any advantage or disadvantage based on equipment and does not necessarily relate to quality or standard of manufacture. For example, 36-spoke wheels are allowed but not 32, although 32-spoke wheels are typically lighter, and frames must be built by a very limited number of approved builders. Since its beginning, the bicycle frames used in Keirin races have been made from chrome-only steel. Exceptions to this are frames used in girls' Keirin and Keirin Evolution races, where the frames used are made from carbon fiber. Manufacturers of the frames used in girls' Keirin are Boma, Bridgestone, Ganwell, Kalavinka, Bomber, and MBK. Participants in Keirin Evolution races may use any NJS, UCI or JCF-approved carbon frame and components. NJS-approved equipment often sells for more than comparable equipment because of its specific use, build requirements, and limited manufacturers. Popular manufacturers include Nagasawa, 3 Rensho, Makino, Kalavinka, Level, Bridgestone, Panasonic, Samsung, Shimano, Nitto, Hata, MKS, Kashimax, and Sugino. Because the NJS's main objective is supporting the Japanese cycling market, its bureaucracy is notoriously critical of foreign manufacturers attempting to enter the Japanese market. The Italian cycling equipment manufacturer Campagnolo has, though, received NJS certification. NJS-approved equipment is not required for Keirin races outside Japan. Betting bets that can be made on Keirin races include, but are not limited to, Exacta, selecting the first 2 finishes in exact order, Quinella, first 2 finishes in any order, Trifecta, first 3 finishes in exact order, Trio, first 3 finishes in any order, Quinella place or wide, selecting 2 to finish in the top 3, in any order. Some wagers cannot be placed if there are a smaller number of competitors in the race. During major race meets, some jackpot wagers are offered. Doken 2. 4-2, selecting the first and second place finisher in each of the last 4 races of the day. Doken 2. 7, selecting the winner of each of the last 7 races of the day. The money bet into the Doken 2 wagers can carry over if there are no winning tickets, even to subsequent race meets at another velodrome in the country. In extraordinary circumstances, races have been declared no contests, forcing velodromes to refund millions of yen in bets. Such results are generally known as a failure. A race at Shizuoka Velodrome on January 2, 2008 was declared a failure when the back wheel of the pacer's bicycle nicked the bicycle of an actual competitor, causing him to fall. In a race at Iwakitera Velodrome on December 14, 2008, separate infractions resulted in the disqualification of the entire field. All but one of the competitors were handed a 1-year suspension by the velodrome after the race. The suspensions were lifted 4 months later.